And then, by the way, it was 2 hour back where we parked, that one block. Now, all of a sudden, we can park for free for 3 hours. So this doesn't make any sense. I have to pay to park for 2 hours or go free to stay longer. And so this is the feeling you get. And so we did walk by, we did go into Howard Johnson's, but when you see signs like this, I walked in, it was like vintage 1972. We thought about, the restaurant was open, and there was a sign right outside the restaurant door that says, if you want to eat here, you have to wear clothes and shoes. And so we were disappointed that nudists were not allowed. Actually, I'm sure it was for the pool. They probably have a pool and people want to go get lunch. But we ended up walking down 4th. You know where we finally found lunch? Famous Dave's. But I didn't want to move the car because, dang it, we paid for the parking. So I made Denise and Jane walk all the way down to Famous Dave's. And by the way, we loved it because it said we're open dang near every day about 11 a.m. And the cook did show up. So we did do that. We did some more exploring. This time we decided, okay, we ate lunch. And now we're going to head out to the other side of town. And so we did find Trinity Heights. And by the way, we used the nav system to get to Trinity Heights, but once we got to Floyd Drive, I think that's what that is, now the wayfinding starts. See what I mean? Your wayfinding starts when you're almost already there. And so we did pull up in there, and this was fabulous. I mean, the statues are amazing, beautifully maintained, just an amazing place. Great maps. You could take one with you. We spent a fair amount of time there. We didn't get a chance to do everything, but I got to tell you, it was first class. Just really well done, really well maintained. Remember, we're not even there in the peak season when everything's leafing out and looks really great. And so we spent there, a nice lady inside. And by the way, we walked inside, and there it was, Sioux City visitor guide. I went, way to go. And very, very nice. And so, on your best of list, I think you got to add that. And it doesn't matter whether you're Catholic or non-Catholic. It's still a great place. Just a really neat place. And so, absolutely, put it on your best of list. While we were over there, we saw your school, the Irving School. We came into some other school. Your schools look great. Remember, site selector, we look at those kinds of things. And so we did, while we were there, we did find this museum, and we think this is it has a really long name, Mid-Country Aviation and Transportation Museum. It's really a long name. But anyway, we did find it. And so, but this gate was about 2/3 closed. So we weren't sure whether it was open or not. And so we did drive in there, and we did not have time to go inside. But it looked, just driving by, it looked really great. Not a lot of curb appeal. I think you'd be a little more inviting, and but I thought it was cool. You had the jet bridge; you could walk right out on a FedEx plane, and so we didn't get a chance to go in. But from the inside, it looked like it would probably be worthy of your best of list, other than the fact it wasn't really very inviting. And by the way, it was harder than heck to find without wayfinding signs. But while we're in the area, we saw great signs for here, industrial park areas. The airport looks great. Sometime we'll have to fly into your airport, but it looked great. We drove around, went in, we didn't go in the airport, but we drove around, and it all looked great. The whole area looked great. Good signage everywhere. It's a great area. We were getting impressed. We weren't too sure about the church, whether it was historic or what. It was just kind of there. So and then when we were driving around, we saw, oh my gosh, we can get back downtown. Historic 4th Street. We don't have to go out on the freeway. Woohoo! What, you're already laughing. So we did. We turned right, and we went right down there, and there we were, back downtown. Wrong city, but at least we're on historic 4th. That's actually a cute little district. So, while we were driving around, we saw something about this first bride's grave. Well, you're already laughing. And so I said, okay, so first bride's grave. Now, I didn't know this had to do with the guy that had the log cabin and he lost one of his two wives, or whether there's something else. So we did see it. We did pull in there. All I know is we got rules, and that's it. I said, well, maybe this is the grave. So I went over it, and no, that's a memorial to one of your first mayors. We have no idea where this place is or what it is. So I do see some stairs up here. I go, well, maybe you walk up the stairs or something, but it was like, okay, that was a bust. And we left. So you might want to put that on the hidden gems list. I'm not so sure. I'm not quite sure if it even qualifies for the hidden gems, but but there's probably a story there somewhere. Don't know where it is. And then we finally found the monument, how to get to the monument. And so we did go there, we went there, and now we're trying to figure out, okay, now who is Sergeant Floyd? We actually figured it out earlier. And so we did see that. Our interpreter sign was excellent. Now we know who he is, that he was the only casualty. But my favorite thing was, look at the views of downtown. Awesome. The views there even beat War Eagles. And now, and so anyway, just really a great sight, and it was fascinating. What we like best is when you leave, on your way out, it says, by the way, visit us. I love it when historical attractions cross-sell each other. Great job. Now that you've seen his monument, go over here and see the rest of the story. So we thought that absolutely should be on your best of list. I mean, it was great. So, so we added him. There's Sergeant Floyd. So then we went and decided to head back downtown because I think we've seen everything on that side. And so that side of town, what we think is that side of town. But somehow we ended up on the wrong side of the tracks and we could never get back downtown. We kept going further and further and further. I think we're heading north. And it just, as far as we could go, we finally said, okay, we give up. Let's go all the way back to the freeway and maybe we can figure out how to get downtown. No wayfinding signage. And so I remember when we were first coming up, we ended up driving on Highway 20 and we saw all this big box retail. Best Buy and all that stuff, Lowe's and Hampton Inn and everything. We didn't have any clue how to get to it. So we finally took an exit that looked like it would be the exit to go there. But if you turn left here, it takes you onto the freeway. And we weren't sure whether there are roads off of that in there because there's no wayfinding. And so we went straight. So now we're going straight and we're going up there. And all of a sudden the road narrows, we're going into a residential zone, and Jane goes, there it is, turn left there, we drive up, we're at East High School. And so we're trying to navigate around, and eventually we found where Lowe's is, that side. And it seems like we're on two sides of the freeway there. I'm not quite sure, because Highway 20 kind of goes, And so we did see the Unity Point Health Center there, it looked fabulous. The Hampton Inn there, all the Marshalls and Lowe's, and we saw all of that. And then we saw this, and that's where we saw that one sign that said, this is coming soon, right there. And so it was nice to know, I don't know, it looks like there's a lot going in here. And our first impression is, downtown better get its act together, because if you live out here, why would you ever go downtown? This place is building up. And so we thought, oh my gosh, And then, so once we saw that, we said, now how do we get to the other side where those shops are? No clue. No wayfinding sign. So what we did is we went here, went down there, and I think we ended up back on the freeway. And as soon as we got back on the freeway, we took the next exit and then we found it. Later in the day, we found out you could get to it by going through some underpass. If you ask me how to get to any of your attractions again, I don't know. And so, by the way, there's East High School. We saw it looked great. And then we eventually found all the retail on this side. And it all looked fine, and so it was all right there. We did see the active retirement community. By the way, the gateway's way down there, so we thought all the homes leading up to this were also a retirement community. I don't think they are, but at first that's what we thought. And while we were there, we saw Whispering Creek Golf Club. I actually thought that was really cool. I've never seen a golf club that looked like that. It just kind of fit the area and thought it was great. One thing that is missing here that I didn't put up there, I should have put a suggestion there, is this course open for public play? It is. Sort of. Sometimes? Always. Can you rent golf clubs? Can you rent a cart? And do you need reservations for tee times? Okay, is it 9 or 18? Where's the sign? Give us any that says open for public play. Pro shop? We did see something. It says something pub, so we do know they must sell food. But there's nothing that really says you have a pro shop, whether it's open to the play, whether you need to call for tee times, nothing. So something the golf course could do. But we found another town. I think it's called Morningside. Now, is Morningside like a district in Sioux City? Okay. Great area, by the way. But then I thought, wow, Morningside is almost like its own town or its own village there. And so we saw some great shops. And so we did find some other areas. I mean, by now, if you ask, as far as I know, this must be at least 10 miles away from downtown Sioux City. How far is it in reality? 1 mile. I have no clue. So I mean, no wayfinding. Matter of fact, I don't even know how to get back to downtown. So we did see the college out there. I mean, we found all kinds of stuff. I have no clue where we were, but we found great stuff. And so there you go. I mean, and this is part of the challenge. You got rivers. I mean, you can't do anything on a grid pattern. And so that was, kind of a challenge there. I'm not even sure that we got all the highways. And so, in all these cities and towns, here is our key word of the day for Sioux City as far as finding things. There it is. That is something you need to fix. So we ended up venturing back to the Lewis and Clark Center because that's where we're staying. And we saw Betty Strong Center. We had no idea who Betty Strong is or what an encounter center is, but the text on the back of this was awesome. And so that went, okay. So we did go in there, and it was beautifully designed. I thought it could have been a little more interactive. There were kids in there going through the Lewis and Clark. We did listen to Thomas Jefferson, the animatronic reincarnation of him. Great place, beautiful place. The photography over in the Encounter Center, absolutely a great place. So we added that to the list too. Okay? And then we went downtown. And so we went to the Hard Rock, beautifully designed. It's just cool to see old warehouses like this turn into cool places like the Hard Rock. Main and Abbey, we ate there for dinner. By the way, we used TripAdvisor to look where to eat. It was number 1 in Sioux City out of 195 restaurants. So we ate there. The service was excellent. The food was great. And so we would even, by the way, remember, this doesn't all have to be attractions on this list. It can also include, remember, restaurants. So we added that to the list. So when we're there, we're trying to figure out now, from Hard Rock, I'm trying to figure out how to get back to our hotel. But the problem is this a parking lot or a street? Okay, and why is the roundabout in the middle of the parking lot or the street and not in the intersection? So we didn't really, it took us a few days to figure out that is actually kind of a street. Not too sure why the roundabout's even there. Maybe just to slow people if they're parked in this lot versus that lot. But once we started figuring out, okay, you go to wherever the roundabout is, cut through it, and then go down to Tri-View, and then so it took us like 2 or 3 days to figure out how to get from downtown back to our hotel. And so what a day on Tuesday. Things we never found that we saw on signs. Elias or whatever, Courtyard, that was listed as an attraction. Don't know where it is or what it is, but it was listed. We never found the Milwaukee Railroad shops, but I think it's because we're looking for shops. But we did find the museum. A place called Shepherd's Garden was listed as an attraction. Spirit of Siouxland sculpture we didn't find.
Yes, you did. That's the 232 that you saw with the statue.
Okay, well, that's another thing. In the Sioux City does everything it can confuse customers' itinerary is in some places it's called Sioux City, these things are called all different names. Okay, and I'm coming to a couple more. And Adams Homestead, we didn't find. Never found a thing called the Promenade anywhere. Okay, so we went back to our hotel. And so, spoke downstairs Wednesday morning. Some of you were there. And then we went right over to Launchpad, and is that ever cool or what? However, this is not a museum. It's an activity center. And I've had this conversation all over the United States of why we call these things museums when they're not museums. They're activity centers, they're education centers. But it's, regardless, who cares? It's fabulous. They did a great job. I mean, just the colors, everything about it was great. We got the walking tour of it, which is good. And what's really cool, if you haven't been in there, you start with cattle and corn and all those things. And this is towards it, and you walk your way from where it is, how milk is produced and everything, and then how it's manufactured, and then how it ends up in the market, and then from the market it ends up in a cafe. So you can actually follow the circle of life for the things that we consume. Really well done. Just really well done. I was just like, yeah, this is really cool. As a matter of fact, we had to be chaperoned because they knew that I would have been playing with the kids. Particularly over at this one, where the boys there were putting as many balls in those things as fast as they could so they'd be coming out, boom, 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 boom. Pretty cool. Really fun place. Absolutely a best of. For anybody coming here with kids, I think it's just fabulous. Oh, it's just great. Really well designed, too. So, me and Abby and Launchpad. And then we did go down and we did check out the Tyson Center. We were a little bit confused because we didn't know whether this was an event center or a recreation center. We don't know whether it's all one building or two buildings just joined. And, you know, I got to tell you that if I lived here, I would not want to go to a place where I have to wait in long lines. Well, I don't know, what else does long lines mean? It just sounds like, oh boy, if you use our rec center, be ready. We're warning you now, you're going to wait in line. Does it mean something different? What?
Telecommunications company. Actually,
Oh,
a cell phone company even.
it's a cell phone. Okay, so they have the naming rights. Well, you know what? I've never heard of them before. And that's what we thought. Literally, that Long Lines Family Recreation Center. And I'm going, man, I wouldn't go in there. It had nothing to do with the rec center. We had no idea that was their naming rights. You ought to put it as Long Lines Tel Company or whatever it is, Telco, whatever it is, Long Lines Cell, rec center, because that's what we thought. Until you just said that. We thought, why would you name it that? So, Tyson Event Center looks fantastic. I mean, it's just great. Another thing that we ran into is every time we kept coming from the hotel, the waterfront and everything, we kept coming to this cool building here. It's got these big, huge monuments, but we have no idea what this is. Because if you're at Hard Rock or anything on that side of town, you see the back of a really cool, pretty building. And so, what is it? We see all the art there. We know what it is now. But from this side, you have to be on the opposite corner here to know what this is. Had some signage. I mean, even thought, could you put Sioux City Art Center painted right on there and maybe on here and put Sioux City Arts everywhere? Okay, I'm already getting myself in trouble, aren't I? Something. Okay, put it on the building. This is the art center, isn't it? Okay. Once you go around the other side, we're a little bit, where do you park? So we kind of figure, well, do we go down this? And by the way, yeah, you do have some rough roads. And so we kind of figure out, so we were on the other side. We drove all the way around just to figure out where to park. And but we did get in here, and we did see the parking over there, and it's really great. I mean, it's just and you can just see Sioux City, you don't do anything halfway, except when it comes to taking care of stuff. But building it, world class. Just really fabulous. Loved this. Sculpt Siouxland, and then you've got the little brochures here, which is really great. And I would have said, man, I'd like to see some of these, because you know how you have sculptures around? I'd like to see these in a couple other locations. It would be really cool. And by the way, for all the museums, all the historic attractions, when you have movies, displays, things like this, you need to put a little sign here that says, this lasts 5 minutes, because this was in process. I don't know whether I'm going to stand there for another 15 minutes or whether it only lasts 3 minutes. I don't even know what it is I'm watching. So if they put here, this little 5-minute video of such and such demonstrates whatever I can't even remember what it was. And so that would be really cool to do that. Just let us know, because otherwise, I stood there, I knew I was in the middle of it, I don't know how long it lasts. I probably watched it for 30 seconds, went next, because I didn't know. And none of the three of us knew. Great little kids' place there. The Lego thing upstairs was fantastic. I mean, that was just art of the brick. Really, really, really well done. I mean, I love the fact that this is Lego and photography, where he made the Lego dress, and then the photography superimposed the girl into that Lego dress. Really cool stuff. But you know what one of my very favorite things is? There was an exhibit of things your high school students have done. And one of them just grabbed me, and it was this tree coming right out of the book with all the words and everything right on. I thought it was just fabulous. You know what it did? It showed us, all of a sudden we had a connection with your youth, and we could see cultural depth in Sioux City. It was awesome. Just a great place. And so, yes, it should be on here. I should have made these so we don't have to roll them up, every one of them. But absolutely fantastic. So, really great. Great job. So there it is, running out of room there. We did see this over kind of next door, Stony Creek. But the other day I was here on Wednesday, I couldn't remember what it's called. I thought it was Rivers Bend. So then I thought, well, maybe Stony Creek is different. And then the convention center is Rivers Bend Convention Center. But then I saw this. No. It's Stony Creek Hotel and Conference Center. So just pick one and decide. What is it? Is it Stony Creek Hotel and Conference Center, or is it Stony Creek Hotel and Riverbend Conference Center? Once again, it's the Sioux City confuse the hell out of you method. It looks beautiful, though. And so, got to check out downtown. With your wayfinding, most of the wayfinding points to government buildings, or here we see coming in, say, here's the promenade we never found. ISU, I'm trying to think of something that's Iowa State University. Is that Iowa State? Okay, and so Design West, we never did find that. Local Foods Market, we didn't really look for that because I think it was up. But what happens there is you have you have wayfinding sign down here, you have more wayfinding sign here, and then you have this wayfinding, and and these are the things we couldn't even find, even though we had wayfinding. So we kind of went around downtown. We saw this cool building. We love the old high school. That is just so cool. Architecture, just amazing. I mean, everywhere we went. Churches. I mean, we were just blown away. Even buildings like this with all the glass block, we just thought, man, I thought, man, there should be kind of a little driving tour of some of these cool buildings. And even you have some incredibly beautiful historic homes. I mean, you know what? We love Sioux City. It's just amazing. You know, it really is an exploration trying to find stuff, but it really is amazing. And we saw your hospitals are just like, oh my gosh, there's another hospital. You know, and so we were like, okay, we're impressed. So we came into downtown, and Pearl Street, you could see it's kind of a gem in the making. It's kind of, right now it's a little bit of a hodgepodge business mix, but you could tell that it's on its way. And so, we just kind of really cool. And by the way, this is right across from Hard Rock. We did see, we got the Working Church Booze Parlor. The one that was marketed we never found was Uncle Stinky's. Don't know where that one went, but we wanted to go get an Uncle Stinky's t-shirt at least. And we couldn't find it. It wasn't at this end. It wasn't at the other end. Oh, okay. Well, And so, we did have lunch at McCarthy and Bailey's Irish Pub. Now, we went in there and went, okay, it was windy, a little bit chilly the other day. And so we said, okay, we're going to go in there. And man, I can't wait to have some shepherd's pie or bangers and mash. We walked in and they gave us the menu. They don't serve Irish food for lunch. They're only for dinner. And they're new at lunch, and I'm glad that they're open for lunch. And the food was fine, but it was like, I'm in an Irish pub. And we had burgers and fries and stuff, And so that was a little bit disappointing, but, not terrible. So here's something you need to know about downtowns and downtown districts. This is the rule of critical mass. I did this Wednesday morning. I think it's really, really important. If you want these areas of downtown, this is what you need to have, minimum, in 3 lineal blocks. It could be 3 lineal blocks of Fourth. It could be Fourth and Pearl. You know what I mean? If you want to count Fourth, Pearl, and maybe up over, just 3 lineal blocks. You need to have a minimum of 10 places to sell food. Minimum. In 3 lineal blocks. I'm not saying all of Fourth. You need to have a minimum of 10 destination retail shops. And you know what? We had a hard time finding any retailers to spend money in downtown. Not even close to 10, in 20 blocks hardly. And then 10 of those open after 6. You have to get the mall mentality. Consistent days and hours, open late into the evening hours, like businesses grouped together. You'll never go to those mall areas we were talking about. I can't remember what they're all called now. You won't go in there in the middle of the retail shops, find an architect's office or a pregnancy clinic or, a laundromat, right? They keep business just like in any mall. You need to start orchestrating that in downtown. And by the way, antique malls, they do 10 times the business when they're grouped together. And auto malls, 7 times. Why would Chevrolet want to be right next to Ford, Toyota, and Subaru? Because they do 7 times the business when they're grouped together than when they're stretched all out. That's why we used to have corner gas stations, lifestyle retail centers, food courts. The rule of critical mass. That is the missing ingredient in your downtown. That and one other thing. So we're in downtown. City Hall looks fabulous, and so is the courthouse next door. Just incredible architecture. But the one place we did find was Palmer's. We spent $100 in that place, and that's why my clothes don't fit this morning. But we got there at 5:20. They closed at 5:30. And by the way, we could see all the office workers just bailing out of town. Massive traffic bailing out of town. That's sad. They come in, they work, 5:01, boom, they're gone. Because you know what? Everybody closes down. Why would they stay? Other than few restaurants or to have a drink. And so absolutely we had to go ahead, Palmer's to the list. And so, my slide here is getting pretty full. I'm going, okay, we're running out of room here. And so Sioux City Arts Center, Palmer's Old Time Candy Shop, pretty cool. And we did see the other building. So I asked the lady and she said, so that building over there, is that where they make everything? She goes, yes. And it's really a cool story. We also saw other buildings like this, and I thought these were really cool. I don't know if you've ever heard of ArtSpace. ArtSpace is a national nonprofit based out of Minneapolis. They take buildings like this and they turn them into artist live workspace. We were just working in Michigan City, Indiana, where they bought one of these in the middle of their downtown. It just opened, I think it's opened like a couple weeks ago. Really, really cool revitalization project right in the middle of downtown. And I thought, man, you guys ought to get a hold of Art Space because you got some cool warehouses that they would probably love. And they buy them, renovate them, and artists live, work there. And you got the talent here. We saw places like this, the bank, and we assumed this parking was for the bank because there was bank signs on the corners. And we're trying to find a place where we can park downtown. But all we find is private parking garages like Rivers Landing. I'm not sure whether that's public or private. Not too sure. There's nothing that really says public parking. Here's Heritage Parking, so I imagine that belonged to Heritage Bank or Heritage Partners or some corporation. And all the signs are different, so they obviously aren't part of a family of parking garages. Discovery Parking, I'm going, Discovery, is that Discovery Channel is here and they have their own parking garage? And by the way, some of these parking, this is for employee parking only. Or we have parking here that you can't even get to from 4th Street. And then we went around the back and saw that must be private, but you public can park there, but it's privately and you pay it a meter. And so the parking thing just totally confused us. And so what to do? I'm sure those are public parking garages, am I right? Say public parking. Don't confuse people. Public parking, Pearl Street. That's enough. And then, what are your prices? I tend to resist parking in public parking garages because they're extraordinarily expensive. And by the way, here's the best rule that you could do. If you put up a sign there that said $1 an hour up to $4 max. We did that in Walnut Creek, California, $3. $1 an hour up to $3. It gave them people incentive to stay longer because if they stayed longer, their parking was free. But tell us how much it is, and then we're more likely to use. Say public parking, $1 per hour, max $4. Good, we're good. Now we know how much it is, we know it's public, and all we have to remember is the street. And that's what you should do. So when it comes about this, by the way, 2-hour parking is a good way to kill a downtown. Just so you know. The rationale is, we cannot get our employees to park somewhere else. We're going to punish our customers instead. And that's the challenge. If you insist on 2-hour parking, where's the all-day parking? So it says 2-hour parking, all-day parking, next left. See what I mean? That's how you do it. And so we even have a whole video, so I don't belabor the point, that will tell you how to address all this parking stuff. And so we're done there. We finally, you know what we did? We parked in front of Rebo's again and paid for the parking. And the app worked really good, the second time. By the way, one thing about the app, it doesn't tell you when your parking expires. The other apps we've seen with other companies, when you get down to 15 minutes, it sends you an alert. It texts you, and it'll say your parking meter is going to expire in 15 minutes. Do you want to renew it? And I would have liked to have had that. I didn't get a ticket, but I would have liked to have had that. So we waited for the trolley, but it never showed up. So in a few locations downtown, you need to put a little sign that say, by the way, our downtown trolley runs, I don't know when it even runs, during the summer months or something, and a little map. Because we see there's one here, and it's free, no information. So we decided, we saw all these skywalk things everywhere, and we thought, God, we got to check these out, really cool. Way to get around during the winter, and we could see them there, and, so we thought we'd go in them and check that all out, and some of them were well marked, like this one, next to the Rivers Landing public parking garage. And by the way, if you want to get your way downtown, forget the streets, go on the skywalk because there's wayfinding. And so you can see, here's where everything is. There's little maps of the skywalk system. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to get around. And so, the one challenge we had is that it is very stark and utilitarian. Matter of fact, twice we ran into security guards and went, oh my gosh, is this place safe? They're walking the system. It's like, hall monitor, do I have my pass? But I just thought, and so you know what? Back at the art center, they had these little cool little things up on the ceiling. I mean, this entire skywalk should be a gallery. Absolutely be a gallery. Then it becomes an attraction, not just something you have to walk through to get to here, to here, to here. So we thought if you could do things like they did over there at the art center. I mean, in some places there's things like this. Here's another one here. But this whole thing should be all gallery. When we were driving around town, we even saw you could even use graffiti artists. Who cares? Because it is so like, is that boring or what? It should just be all mural art. You know what? I'd turn grade school classes loose in there. Anything. You know what they did in Rapid City, South Dakota? They did a cool thing. They took a whole alley that used to be full of drug deals and they turned it into art alley. And this is, of course, outside in art alley. The graffiti artists, by the way, they just had a few rules. No swastikas, no profanities, and protect other people's art. And you know what happened is they started doing some of the graffiti art was just amazing in Art Alley in Rapid City, South Dakota. And by the way, they now do walking tours of it. I think your skywalk should be an attraction, not just an amenity. So you could do some cool things. Thank goodness for the Tri-Walk. It told us how to get to the Orpheum. So we did go, went down the elevator, went to the Orpheum, tried to open all the doors, and of course it's closed. And we'd love to see inside sometime. Fantastic. No question, the Orpheum needs to be on your list. I mean, it's funny, they have a brochure that tell you all about it, and we went, wow, we got to go check it out. But it was closed. And I wouldn't expect it to be open all the time. But once again, we had to add it to our list. The Skywalk also told us how to find your public museum. I mean, really? Public museum? Come on. This is a creative city. Call it something else. Sioux City Public Museum. By the way, there's very few private museums out there. So Denise said, why don't they call it like Rewind Sioux City? Rewind Sioux City's history, a museum. Dude, call it something sexy other than public museum. Sounds like, okay. And so, because it is fabulous. It's one of the most beautifully designed museums we've seen. It's great. And then what's really cool is you could actually go there and send a postcard to your email, to your friends, which promotes it even more. And so it did a great job. There's what Denise got. So she did it. There's Corn Palace, and she got that. And so, of course, we had to add them to the list, now it's going to run all those. And so, anyway, you're starting to get a pretty good list. And so, one more thing, visitor information. You need to have kiosks. Remember I said you need to have brochures? This is, when we're here, we want brochures. You need to have a kiosk at the convention center, at the art center, at the nature center. You should have kiosks all over the place. And I'm going to show you some ideas. These are just a few that you need to have kiosks. And here's why. Before people travel, only a third of the time do they use brochures. They use the internet. Word of mouth, friends and family. But you know what? Once they arrive, look at this. 81% more than the internet. Where's the brochure? And so that is really why you need brochures. Because if you go back here to 4, visitors don't just travel between 10 to 4. I mean, matter of fact, when we got here that first day on Monday, we got there like 10 to 4, so we had no chance. That's like going there, okay, we better hurry, they're closed in 10 minutes. But what you could do is we don't expect them to stay there later. But wouldn't it be cool if you had brochure distribution right here? So it's always working 24/7. We can pick up the very best Sioux City, we can pick up one of the guides. Wouldn't that be great? This is Moses Lake. Well, I did a thing called Information Station. You could do way better on the design. Kingsport, Tennessee built a series of these. Notice all the brochures. By the way, if you want your brochure in there, you pay like $5 a month. That keeps it stocked, keeps it cleaned, and helps build the next one. And so, as a matter of fact, we think you ought to do a portable. They make portable kiosks now so that when you have sporting tournaments, bring the visitor information to them. Because not all your sports fields are close to your downtown. So cool things you can do. One of my favorites is in Cape May, New Jersey. This is their little downtown district. Love it. It says, welcome friends old and new, linger here a day or two. And then it's got maps, it's got all the brochures. Pretty cool. So do a series of these. Yeah, that one's probably, I'm probably guessing that was probably $12,000, $15,000. But you know what? Flemington, New Jersey did these. I thought that was really cute. These you could put almost anywhere, and there it is inside. You should have a series of these. And that would be really cool. So now, historic 4th Street. We did see this. Is this where Uncle Stinky's used to be? No? Okay, their address is kind of close to this address. And we were trying to figure out where it was, and we couldn't find it because it is listed. And so we did see Chesterfield or whatever this is, and we did see it. But when we drove down, we saw this. We thought, oh, it must be under construction. So for businesses, you have to, first impressions are lasting impressions. Maybe they screen it for now because we figured it was either closed or out of business or they're remodeling or something. We saw this. This is trompe-l'oeil, which is fool the eye, trompe-l'oeil mural. So once again, Sioux City, we're doing new things. We ignored the old things and we know these are private buildings, but we just going, man, what? You do these things and then nobody takes care of it. I mean, this is 4th Street. That was there on Monday. It's still there today. Today's Friday. Does anybody care? I'm sure you do. But to us, maybe not. And it's private sector too. Pallet was here Monday. It's still there. It's just kind of, does anybody, I mean, you've got some incredible art. We love that. Smoking dragon. By the way, he's not smoking this way. He's smoking a cigar. And so, but then right across the street is this. It's very, very sad. But I got a question. I wonder how long that's been there like that. I'll bet you if I come back maybe after today, but I'll bet you if I didn't show this to you, I come back in three weeks, it'd still be there. Just like that. Because it doesn't seem, somebody actually ripped off the sculpture there, which is really sad. And by the way, we counted more than 40 burned out bulbs along 4th. And so, matter of fact, all these are burned out. The ones across the street are working, the ones down the street, but all of those are burned out, or something's wrong with them. And so everywhere we went, we saw up and down 4th, more than 40 of these bulbs were burned out. Does anybody ever go? I'm sure city employees get off at 5, and so they're not there after dark. But this is probably why you'll never have me back, huh? And so, another thing. You walk up to the convention center, and it says, for convention center patrons only, which is to say, go away. If you're not attending a convention, go away. We're not going to give you visitor information. You cannot use our restrooms, and so therefore there are no public restrooms in your downtown. Stop it. You're supposed to be in the hospitality industry. And so, yeah, well, you know what? Relieved visitors spend more. They do. So, I know I'm being really harsh, but these are little things. And by the way, if you're in 4th looking towards the convention center, it doesn't look like it dead ends right there. That's it. And so I thought, man, could we, at the end of this building, do a really cool mural that says, more to explore in an arrow, to entice us to come down even further. Some cool things like that you could do. The other thing is with your merchants is blade signs. Blade signs are signs that are perpendicular to you. So when we look down the street, we see blade signs. They should be consistent height and size. There's Nantucket blade signs. There's Carmel, California. Now, you have bigger scale buildings, so they might be bigger scale signs like this in Valparaiso, Indiana. Here's Canmore, Alberta. These are all blade signs. Some of your businesses have them, some of them don't. There's some general rules for blade signs height, because there's one there's a couple of them that were so high we didn't even see them. They're out of your line of sight. And so here I am on 4th. Can you tell me what's in any of those shops? Give me any incentive to keep walking down that sidewalk. No blade signs. And we know they must be allowed because some places have them. Okay, what's in any of those shops? By the way, this one needs to be lowered by about 4 feet so it's in line with these, because we totally missed it. Totally missed it. And by the way, in the Sioux City rule of confusing people, is it a gallery, a bar, or a restaurant? Oh, it's closed. Okay. That was the other thing. We went there on Monday, Tuesday, and it was still closed. But there's no signs that say it's closed or out of business. We just thought, boy, these business hours just come and go whenever they feel like it. So, but maybe it's closed because nobody could figure out what it was. Can you tell me what's in any of those shops? I can see this one. I know what's in this one. I had Denise and Jane with me, so I couldn't go in and check it out. No, just kidding. And, I'm not, we could have a whole discussion on that because you know what? That's your bookends on 4th. And I went, okay, what's wrong with this picture? So, beautiful, beautiful architecture. This shop right here, best one downtown. But one thing that's really important, look at this stat right there. So we're going to go out there Morningside. What do you call, what is the big mall area out there? What's it called? Southern Hills. We go to Southern, I'll bet you all those shops out there are open till 9 o'clock, 7 days a week. Your downtown closes at 5 or 5:30, except for a few restaurants. Ever heard of shopping and dining? That actually goes together. So why do your shops close and the dining is the only thing open? And so there you go. There you go. Go to TripAdvisor and read about historic 4th Street. People think it looks fabulous, but nothing's open. By the way, we go to conventions, not because you have a convention center, but because we're in a city where there's things to do at the end of the convention day. And you don't have it in Sioux City. And so, here Wednesday till 7, but every day and every business is different. And so, I want to touch on this. I did this on Wednesday. I'm going to do it again because I hope you as a city will make downtown a top priority. Because otherwise, it's going to go to Morningside, it's going to go to Southern Hills, it's going to go out there, and your downtown's just going to become an office park. And so, look at that. It's not the reason we come, but it's the number one thing we do once we're here. And it doesn't matter, we're here for conventions, government, factories, road workers, you name it, and look at that statistic. You are not getting the 80% of the people that are coming to conventions in this building. You might be getting a little bit of it because you got some cool bars and restaurants, but those, the top 2 convention days are Mondays and Tuesdays. That's the days most of your restaurants downtowns are closed. So this is why Disney put Downtown Disney outside each of its parks to get that 80%. And there you go. Tourism is the front door to your non-tourism economic development. So tourism and downtowns need to be joined at the hip. Site selectors, that's what we do. We come into your downtown, and the health of your downtown economically, to us, is the health of Sioux City. Fair or not. And then, heart and soul of any community besides the people that's downtown. You know, we don't hang out at Southern Hills. Downtown's a place where all your locals should be coming to hang out. It's our central gathering place. And if you don't hang out in your downtown, neither will visitors. We go where you go. So you got to bring downtown to life. You need to have street musicians down there. Downtown needs to be alive. And by the way, people want downtowns. Traditional malls are dying across the United States. The last one was built more than 20 years ago. People want downtowns because we're in the age of third places. First place is the place we live. Second place is the place we work. And the third place is the place we go to hang out. Starbucks built an entire brand on being third places. And I've got a great idea for you how to create one of these. But that is the future. And guess what? Downtown's where we go after work and on weekends. Your downtown, the peak hour should be 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 9 o'clock at night. Instead, you got 4 to 5 and then we pretty much close. And so, downtowns. You know what? We're moving to the European standard. The millennial generation is bigger than the boomer generation, and they want out of their cars. They want a pedestrian experience. This is Europe. This is in, can't remember where this was, Florence, I think. And so this is in Siena. You could go to Mexico, South America. You could go everywhere, and cities are built around piazzas, central gathering places, and they're monetized with restaurants and retail shops. We're moving that way, and they all have entertainment. It has worked for centuries, and we want it in the United States. We want out of our cars in a pedestrian experience that is monetized. We did this in Santa Monica, California, 3rd Street Promenade. It's now the busiest shopping district in all of Southern California. Santa Monica is 70,000 people. And so, look at that. Nothing more important than your downtown. I hope you make it a top priority. It may be, it doesn't really, you've got a lot of private investment going on. And so, 3 statistics you need to know. There you go. 70% of first-time sales come from curb appeal. And women account for 80% of all consumer spending. Waiting for the guys. They're just... And there you go. 70% after 6. So another thing you could use downtown, benches. You should have 30 or 40 benches in your downtown. Because besides blade signs, along your street fronts, just bare. It's just storefront to concrete. And by the way, you should have, this should all be tables, chairs, a bench, and a pot on each end of the bench. Just having benches there. And I know what you're going to say. I know what somebody said, well, if we put benches out there, we'll have homeless people sitting on them. Put benches out there. I worked in a town in Canada where they said they had 6 benches downtown. I said, I want you to add 20 more. And they go, oh my gosh, we have our homeless people on those 6 benches. We brought 20 more. They're all going to be full of homeless people. I said, I want you to put out the benches. And if that happens, I'll pay for the benches. So they put out another 6. Then they put on another 6. Then they put on another 6. And guess what? The homeless people never took up more than 6 benches. All of a sudden, other people on the benches, mainly husbands waiting for their wives to get done shopping. And the homeless people now were in an eyesore because now it was for everybody. And so it works. Beautification along the curb. And so 4th is stark, bare, and unfriendly. Now, you may do beautification. Maybe I'm just too early. I don't know. But it looks pretty bare. There's just nothing to soften the facade to sidewalks at all. And so we think that's really important. Retailers need to do stuff like that. That's in Grass Valley, California, in the Sierra Nevadas. It was like 35 degrees out. All the flowers are silk. She has an air curtain that blows down there. Look at this. Before, he changed the name and then added beautification. This is before, after. His sales went 400%. That's the power of beautification. Curb appeal. We all try it. Have you ever said these words? That looks like a nice place to eat. We judge the book by the cover. I mean, beautification. Canmore, Alberta. You know, I mean, this one here is Neenah, Wisconsin. You know, I can't remember where that was. It was in Madison, Indiana. Gig Harbor, Washington. I mean, even little alleyways. That's in Shipshewana, Indiana. You know, Leavenworth, Washington. Every once in a while, you can break the rule. So, Ike, is he in here? There he is, right over there. Ike, our great sound guy and fellow speaker, said the other day, I think it was you, Ike, right? He said, you guys should go get some Thai. It's a place called Diamond Thai. We drove up there, and I'm going, I don't know, I may need to have some words with Ike about this. Because had it not been for his personal recommendations, we would never go in there in a million years. I mean, look at curb appeal. And so, you know, Ike, you know, let me tell you about our experience. You can see Jane and Denise here going, should we or shouldn't we? Do we want to believe in Ike or not? And so we thought, well, you know what? Sometimes some of the very best places aren't so great in the curb appeal department. And so we went in, and Ike, great job, it was awesome. We love it, the lady back. She hardly spoke any English, you know, and she had her little daughter. I don't want her to get in trouble with child labor laws. But her little daughter was such a busy, it was fabulous. It's a family affair. Food was great. It was awesome. As a matter of fact, it was awesome enough that it should be on your, well, not sure whether it should be on the hidden gems list or the best of list. But it was authentic. That's just who they are. So, good job. Sidewalk dining. I know you have it in some places. Are restaurants allowed to put them on the front sidewalks? No. Oh, they are? Okay, see, you don't even know. Okay, some people are saying yes you can, some saying yes you can't. And I just want to let you know that that is the future. This is part of the European standard. This is in Salem, Massachusetts. These are silk flowers. This was taken in a March. But what's really cool is in Nova Scotia, which has harsh winters, they allow restaurants to take up the entire sidewalk. They allow the restaurants to take up a couple of parking spaces and build these seasonal decks so that pedestrians can walk around. And it's got storm drainage right through there, but everything goes underneath. And you know what? It slows the traffic. And by the way, if you have a emergency, well, you take away the parking, you're going to kill my business. Here's your response. Are you telling me your business isn't worth walking a block for? Shuts them up just like that. But that is so cool. And by the way, they pack them up and they put them in the warehouse in the winter. And like 6 restaurants in that town of Wolfville do it. It's really cool. This is Canmore, Alberta again. You know, just little tables, chairs. It just makes it feel welcome. This merchant makes a whole lot of money. She'll even give people free ice cream because if they eat it out there, more people will go in and know she's serving ice cream. So these are things you could do. This is Barrie, Ontario. They came to me and said, oh man, all we're known for is our bar scene. I walked up and down this, it's like your 4th Street from Hard Rock all the way to Chesterfield. And I said, I only counted 6 bars. They go, that's the problem, we have too many bars. I said, no, it's not. You don't have enough of the other stuff. So I said, you need to do sidewalk cafes like this. They said, well, the city doesn't allow it. And the city said, excuse me, we do allow it. And the British Arms said, no, they don't allow it. And the city said, yes, British Arms, we do allow it. So British Arms offline said, Roger, would you go down there and tell them that you want to get a permit? So I went into City Hall. See, yeah, I'm working with the British Arms. I'd like to get a permit for sidewalk dining. They said, well, it'll take 10 minutes and about $15,000. And you have to go through this whole process, and no wonder. And you need to, oh, by the way, building department, you need to go talk to the police department, the fire department, every other department, planning department, everything. I mean, I was there for like 3 hours, and I finally said, no wonder nobody's putting sidewalk cafes. I went to one city council meeting. We fixed it in 15 minutes. Here's a list of rules on one sheet. Here's a list of rules. You have to have reflectors. You have to have landscaping. You can't take more than the parking places. In front, we had this littlest rule. You have to allow for storm drainage. You have to, for snowfall, you have to remove it. You know, they had this list of rules. You could do your drawings on a napkin, and you could get a permit in two weeks for $250. In 6 months, they had 14 restaurants with sidewalk cafes, and nobody ever complained about the bars again. There it is from the inside. I took this early. You can see it's even dark out. I took it early in the morning. There's where you route your pedestrians around. Pretty cool. Best shop downtown, right here. Fantastic. Just fantastic. And I'm going, man, do they do this all by themselves? You need to have more. You need to have a great antique store downtown, but that store is just fabulous. I like that, I like that, I like that. We were picking up stuff like you can't believe. So, lots of things. And by the way, we didn't get to go in every retail shop, but that's one of them. So, here's what you want to do. Here is, I'm drawing to a close. This is the thing I want you to do in downtown Sioux City. We're in the age of programmed public plazas. You have plazas, they're not programmed, they're dead space. So there's a big difference between having a plaza and having a programmed one. So I want to tell you the story of Rapid City, where when they said, we want more tourism, I said, well, you better start with downtown, because you're not getting the 80%, just like I'm telling you, you're not getting the 80%. So we recommend they do a downtown plaza. There it is. Took them a few years. They had to raise the money, had to design it. And here it is. It's right in this little area in downtown Rapid City. By the way, the population is 75,000. What's yours, about 85,000? Okay? And so I told them, take this parking lot out. It's about an acre. I even told them to tear down the Sears building. It was pigeons were living in it, and do a 2-acre plaza. Well, there it is from that angle, and there it is from that angle. And what we want them to do is take out this parking lot, take out that building, build a big plaza here that would look like that. Pretty cool. We added a 3rd story in the parking garage. We put restaurants on the 1st floor of the parking garage. We were going to have a 3-story waterfall, kind of an amphitheater here. Well, it didn't happen because I got a call from a guy. He said, Roger, my name is Ray Hildebrand, and I own real estate downtown, and I just want to let you know we're not tearing down that Sears building because I just bought it. But I also gave the city $1 million to build a plaza right next to my new store, my new retail. Okay, so he took that Sears building, remodeled it. He built another restaurant here. It's got outdoor cafe here and a 3rd restaurant right here. There's retail here. Here's that parking garage. Took this, and that is it. Sunday, July 8th at 10 a.m. Packed. There's that Sears building. They did add a 3rd story on the parking garage, but the 1st floor has restrooms, visitor information, retail. And so there it is. It's Sunday morning. I mean, there it is. I'm standing up at the parking garage. There's that Sears building. Got all this. They got a beer garden there, because they had car shows started coming. All of a sudden, everybody wanted to do their events in downtown Rapid City. I called them the hole in the middle of the donut before this. I mean, it just took off. There's the stage right there. It's a Sunday morning. There's a little splash pad. They can shut it off when events are going on, and then they can turn on. And that morning, they had the police doing their police dogs, showing what they do. So always things going on there. Car shows started coming. Quilt shows started coming. You name it. And there it is with the splash pad off. There it is, again. I mean, these things light up at night. These big granite things are supposed to kind of mimic the granite on Mount Rushmore. And so it's really cool. And you know what Ray Hildebrand did? He said, I was upstairs in my new building when they were constructing this, and I saw moms walking by with strollers with their kids looking at the pictures like you need to do. He said, it touched me so deeply, I gave him another $1 million. And you know what? His building is now the most valuable building, tax-wise, of any place in Rapid City. It's right on the plaza where people hang out. This is an old firehouse down the road. It started doing business. There's Dan the man, he runs Main Street Square, Fun Square. You know what? It entirely changed downtown Rapid City. They went from 30% vacancies to 0. They have hardly any turnover. I mean, there it is during the summer. This is on that Sunday morning. The Alex Johnson Hotel there was pretty much abandoned. They were only using 2 or 3 floors. It now runs at 94. It's fully operational. It runs at 94% occupancy year round. People want to stay in hotels next to plaza areas. I mean, it just took off. This is it during the summer months. And this is it in the winter months. They make $130,000 a year just renting ice skates. That is bigger than Rockefeller Center's ice rink. And they have to dole out the ice skates because it gets too busy. So here's the point. If you want to have downtown work, you need to have a plaza that is programmed at least 250 days a year. 120 days a year, their splash pad is going. And 120 days a year, their ice rink is going. There's 240 days right there. Doesn't have to be events. You know what happens is, I don't know how many events you hold downtown. Let's say you hold 40 events downtown on 4th Street a year. That's not enough to convince a merchant to be open downtown. You need 250 minimum. And they still have another 115 they have to fend for themselves. Look, I love the square. As someone who works downtown, I've seen the difference it has made. I see so many more locals coming down here just to hang out and have fun. And I come back downtown on the weekends, evenings and weekends, which I never did before. I'll bet you that's what would happen in Sioux City. I love seeing my friends, colleagues, and everyone from my cashier at the grocery store to my hairdresser to the mayor hanging around events this square. It gives a sense of community, that's not even up there, that we never had before. Sound familiar? Love it. Look what somebody posted. Look at this. This is Monday night movies on the square. Average attendance, 3,500. They do summer nights every Thursday night for 13 weeks in the year. Average attendance, 13,000. Look what somebody wrote. Movie night, Main Street Square, Rapid City. I grew up in Rapid City and it was never as cool as it is now. The average age of a person buying a home dropped 12 years within 2 years of the plaza opening. The youth were coming back. And you know what they say about Iowa? The most educated state in the country and our biggest export is our educated youth. Because Haley at Soho, when she's done with school, she's going to find another place to go live. She wants to get a master's. This is what you need to do. You know, they spent it for 8. They could have done it for 5. I think their design wasn't very good. You look at that. $4.5 million came from philanthropy. And by the way, the rest came from TIF funds, tax increment financing, and other funds. A little bit lodging taxes. And so $500,000 a year cost to run it. 4 full-time people. 1 person that keeps it busy. 1 person that does maintenance and upkeep and all those kinds of things. Another person that does the marketing. And another one that does sponsorships. And by the way, the city funds $50,000 a year. And the other $450,000 they get from beer garden sales, ice skate rentals, and sponsorships. And a little bit from a downtown association. So, look at that. So, well, you know what happened is, when they were first doing that, people complained, if you do that, you're going to kill the business downtown. They'll all be in the square. They won't be in our businesses. I mean, people scream bloody murder. That's going to cost a fortune. I mean, everybody. By the way, we did not have them make up the parking spaces. Jane and I did a road trip out there, and we said, we're going to meet you for lunch at noon. We were 20 minutes late because we had to park 3 blocks away, and the damn pedestrians were in the way. But you know what? With parking, it just has to be worth the walk, and it was. And you know what they said when we showed up late? We're so glad you're late. What a nice problem to have. So, I had to make a list of the 25 businesses that complained the most. And I went into them and talked to where I could find an owner or a manager, and I would say, you know that square, they didn't know who I was. You know that square over there? I'd make faces. You know that square over there? Does that really help your business? You know what they said? I talked to 14 of them. Every single one of them said that. Every single one. And you know what? There's no retail vacancies. There's lower turnover. Businesses are open later in the evening. They keep breaking sales records. The average age is dropping. And you know what? Now all of a sudden it's a great place for trade shows and convention centers because it's alive. And so we were so sad to see that this theater didn't make it. Does it look like it's open? There's not a shred of any kind of landscaping. Monday, we thought it was closed. Tuesday, we thought it was closed. Wednesday, we saw somebody walk in there. When, oh my God, we wake up, look in the windows, it's open. Because all you see is vacancies around it. And we thought, man, maybe you could do something. This is kind of a plaza here. And I thought, I wonder if this is what they call the promenade, is it? There's no, see what I mean? You have wayfinding, but nothing says you've arrived. And you do that with all your wayfinding. And so we thought, wow, could we turn this, could we activate this? Could we, I mean, you know, wouldn't it be cool if these were restaurants with roll-up garage doors during the summer? You know, that would just be that. And then we read this. This fund embraces the future and, well, let's see, blah, blah, blah. We hope it will be a gathering place for children, parents, grandparents, and it's not a gathering place, it's a dead space. We thought, but wait, over here, what if this pretty space become a gathering space? And I thought, what if we took this, what if we could put a nice, great convention center hotel or something here to really activate the convention center, and then we put a parking structure and then access for all the loading and everything into the convention back here? What if this whole thing was a pedestrian plaza? Whole thing. What if? So you would close off this block. Yeah, but we could still get around this way, and we'd probably help activate Third. And what if? What if? Okay, you say, well, oh my God, we want to do that. I said, well, what if we did that? Because there's not enough on here to do the ice rink and things we want to do. I thought, so what if we close off this? Plus, we got some cool little shops. There's a little coffee shop here. I feel bad for them. I don't know how they make it. Because I walked up and down the street in the middle of the street almost all day, every day, or different times of day, and never saw a car come up and down there. And I thought, what if? And I thought, because then if you're over here looking across, this would be all plaza space. What if? What if when you go down here, here's a little coffee shop. What if you got lawn area here? This is all just dead space. I thought, what if all you could do this? You know, these would be great little shops opened onto a plaza. And so he thought there and said, well, how, could we make this work with this? So let me tell you what we're talking about. I'm going to take you to Caldwell, Idaho. Population 50,000, about 45 minutes away from Boise. They tore down a building. City bought this lot, tore down this building, and I said, you should build a plaza right there. Notice I closed off this street so that all these would front on the plaza. They would open up the backs of these buildings, and they have this little creek here. So what if this became a plaza? So here's what it looks like. Here's that building. Here's that creek behind it. There's the street used to run through here. I said, what if it looked kind of like that? This is kind of our modeling, CAD modeling. So here, all of these would open onto the street. And here's where the street used to run. So what if we could do something like that? And then where all the trees are, they'd be in these planters. All these are seating surfaces. You know, and you had on your plaza all kinds of street vendors in season or during events. And then you had restaurants and cafes with outdoor dining right on the plaza, just like Europe. You know, even in Disney gets it that all these planters are raised. Notice how it's got a curved edge? Because Disney's smart. It's about people. Your plaza's a pretty space, but it's not about people. And so then you bring in the entertainers, the musicians. And so you know what? That place in Caldwell, that's what it's going to look like. You know what's really cool about this? This is a big splash pad. It's all flush mounted. You can shut off the fountains, fill this all full of tables and chairs for the Taste of Sioux City. Or all full of chairs, theater style like this for concerts on the stage. And in the winter, this becomes an ice rink. if you did this in downtown, all of a sudden you're downtown and say, we got to head downtown. Wouldn't it be cool if people that lived and worked in Sioux City called their significant other, said, rather than heading home after work, why don't we head downtown? See what's going on the square. You know, wouldn't it be cool if you had yoga in the mornings down there on the square, in season, of course? I mean, you know, this is about bringing downtown to life. And so we thought, so what if? What if? What if you did that? What if all these little purple tables, these are all little dining. What if this is all cafe dining? What if this had couple of restaurants in this hotel? You know, and then what if you had all your street trees here? What if you had more cafe dining in front of the movie theater? What if you did street trees? And these would all be little market booths and things. All this, wouldn't it be cool if this way the sun is shining into the stage, not in the audience? You could have that. You know what? You'd have people come from everywhere. What if? By the way, that's my 5-minute drawing, not, a real plan. But how cool could that be? Would it be a place you'd hang out? Maybe. And so, final thing. Sioux City, what are you about? I can't figure it out. What's your brand? And here's what you need to know, is there are 946 cities and towns in Iowa. More than any state per capita. Texas only has 1,100. You have 946. What sets you apart for the other 945? And we're not talking about Nebraska and South Dakota. What's your brand? And that is something you need to work on. Why should I bring my business Sioux City over Cedar Rapids? We worked in Marion, Oskaloosa, Decorah. I'm naming places we've actually worked in. Iowa, Des Moines. They're river towns too, so why you? And so the last thing we're going to do, we want you to do this. And by the way, we're going to give you this. We're going to put it into a findings and suggestions report. This is meant to be a conversation starter, not all the answers. It's really easy for me to say, wow, close off the street and put, I don't know where the utilities are into there, what the water table is. So it's really easy for me to say it. It may be more difficult than that, but I want you to think that way about making your downtown. Here's the way it works. So, and by the way, make it different, make it memorable. Best places to live, work, and play, that's what you need to do. And this place is fantastic. So, here's how it works in downtowns. Way back in the 50s, after World War II, we started doing suburbs and residential subdivisions. When the people moved away from downtown, the malls and the retailers went with them. People want downtown. So what comes first? If you can bring people downtown consistently, 250 days a year. Rapid City, by the way, this is programmed 300 days a year. The retailers will come back, and so will the people. Because right now, they're in Morningside, they're in Rolling Hills or wherever, they're everywhere else. I see them coming into downtown, and then at 501, they're gone. Except for a few people. We walked downtown. I walked right down 4th the other night, Wednesday night, right down the middle of the street. And yeah, there were people in the restaurants and everything, but they could have been a whole lot busier. What you have here is really amazing. I mean, your culture is so deep with your art centers. You have some amazing, amazing things. And with all this construction when it's done, I'm sure that's going to make a huge difference. So there you go. Best time to plant trees 20 years ago. Second best time? Today. So thank you so much for having us here all week. I hope you took this as constructive criticism, because you have an amazing, amazing city that, you're really the crossroads destination. You're not that far from, the other side of the state in Chicago. And what you got around here is fantastic. Tough to find it all, but it's fantastic. So thanks a lot for having us here this morning. Thank you very, very much.